Hello everybody and welcome back to another Sai Knows the Score video, where today we are going to be discussing whether West Ham can in fact beat the drop this season. Now, it's not been a great season or start so far, nor was last season what probably West Ham fans envisioned it going. Lopetegui came in last season, didn't he? He thought, everybody thought, he's got a lot of good experience, good coach, he might do something here with West Ham, but it just never developed, did it? Graham Potter comes in and it just doesn't feel a whole lot different, does it? It feels like a similar start to last season, but they've actually had probably the worst start in their Premier League campaign ever. For them to concede 8 goals is, I believe, the most goals they've ever conceded in their opening 2 games of the Premier League season. So I thought this would be a good time to discuss this, and any West Ham fans there, please do comment on this too. And just before we do get into the nitty gritty, if you could please like, comment and subscribe, really is appreciated, and it really does help me out too, so thank you in advance if you do that. So let's start with last season. As just mentioned, Lopetegui came in, didn't he? Now, we had 20 Premier League games under West Ham last season, where he won 5, drew 6 and lost 9. Now, the biggest takeaways I saw from last season were the amount of goals that they were conceding. Trying to play pretty football, it just wasn't happening. Under those 20 games under Lopetegui, you actually conceded 3 or more goals on 8 occasions, which is quite a mad start, really, isn't it? And you would say that is definitely relegation fodder. And then when Graham Potter came in, you could argue he steadied the ship a little bit. The goals conceded weren't as prominent as they were before, and there was only one game in those 18 matches where you actually conceded 3 or more, and that was against Brighton. That's a positive for Potter coming. Now, the negative is they both basically had around the same amount of games last season, yet Lopetegui actually had a higher win ratio than Potter did at 30%, and Potter had a 28% win ratio. So it swings in roundabouts, doesn't it? Now, Potter, you could argue, has similar principles to Lopetegui, with the style of play and how he envisions the team to be set up, and playing from the back, moving it forward. This season, 2 games, one against the club world champions, so you could maybe give a little bit of leeway. Leeds even lost 5-0 to Arsenal, which you could argue, that means West Ham probably going to be down there with Leeds. Yes, I do think that is going to be the case. They are going to be in a dogfight this year, unless out of nowhere in this remaining week of transfer window, 100 million spent and you get some top quality talent coming in across the pitch. Because when it comes to winning your duels and holding the ball, West Ham for the most part are quite up there in terms of the stats. It just seems to be the quality at both ends of the pitch, doesn't it? It just seems to be lacking that bite to see out. I say see out games, but to put a body in the way, to make a block, to get the ball up the pitch at the right time. It's just those little decision-making things that just aren't clicking for West Ham at the moment. I do also think there is a player quality issue there too. You've got the likes of Bowen still. Obviously lost Kudus, who was a really good player for you. He had 14 goal contributions, didn't he, in his first season, and then had, I believe, 8 last season. So it's going to be a big miss. It's a big loss, and it doesn't really seem like you've replaced there. You brought in some aging players, injury-prone players, free players. So you've got Callum Wilson, Kyle Walker-Peters, which are good. Bring them in. They're really good squad players. But then also do spend the cash, splash the cash a little bit, and bring in those those good age players of 24, 25, 26 who are just about to hit the prime and aren't as injury prone as the players that you're probably going to need this season to help keep you up. So it does feel like there's a lot of negatives for West Ham right now. Obviously the West Ham fans are, understandably so, not pleased with the board, are they? So they voiced their opinions during the Chelsea game the other day. I mean, they conceded so many big chances, yet Chelsea only had 12 shots, which was the same as West Ham, but they conceded 5 to West Ham's 1. So, it's going to be really difficult. I mean, 7 days to get in all the bodies that you feel you need to not be in that scrap this year down at the bottom. I mean, you look at the teams that have come up, and I think a lot of people would say there is an expectation there, isn't there, that it's not going to be like the previous 2 seasons where the teams that came up were just... It was just pointless, wasn't it? What was the point of them being in the Premier League? They were just there just to make up the numbers, weren't they? This season, it doesn't quite feel like that's going to be the case. It does feel like you might get to a little bit more normality of maybe 35 points plus to be able to stay up, whereas obviously the last couple of seasons been about 26, 27, hasn't it, or something ridiculously low. So yeah, and the other thing with West Ham last season is... Well, they finished 14th, and right now, I'm sure West Ham fans would probably snap your arm off for another 14th place finish. But 43 points, was it, 2? Now, last season, when I was looking at the fixtures and the games that you did get the points, your points for, you only lost 1 game all season to the bottom 3, and that was to Leicester under Lopetegui. But other than that, I think there was a draw to Southampton, and then you won 4 of them. So you're going to need something very similar again this season. However, of course, it's not been a great start because the very first game at the Stadium of Light, yes, you can say it's the first Premier League season. Not all teams are up and running at that point, are they? And Sunderland's first game back in the Premier League, it was always going to be electric in the stadium, wasn't it? And yes, of course, that was the case, and that is what happened. Now, moving forward, needs to change and be fairly similar to last season, where you're going to have, you need, 14, 15 points now, minimum, against the so-called newly promoted teams that could be fighting for relegation if you want to really, bolster your chances of staying up, because in my opinion, you're going to need 9, maybe even 10 wins to stay up with a few draws in there. So you're looking at beating the teams in and around you, which, apart from the newly promoted teams, you're looking at Wolves, you're looking at Brentford, aren't you? And you're thinking, right, can we get maximum points against those teams too? Because if you do beat those 5 teams, excluding the first Sunderland game, then that in essence could be almost enough to keep you up in itself. It just doesn't feel like the quality's there, though, to be able to do that, especially going away from home. I mean, you conceded 5 at home to, yes, I know Chelsea are probably an exception to that. But yeah, bodies need to come in, and I mean, if this isn't a shout to the club owners to really, dig deep into the pockets here and splash the cash a little bit whilst they can, there's going to be a long old season in it for West Ham. I mean, you feel like it could be a repeat of what happened when they went down. Well, a number of years ago. It wasn't actually that long ago, was it? But yeah, I mean, looking at your play style, it feels a little bit like Leicester last season right now under Van Nistelrooy. You got that pretty football, but just can't do it in either box. So yeah, I mean, let me know what you all think. I do think, as it stands, West Ham could be that team to slip into 18th position or even 19th. I mean, look, Burnley, Sunderland and Leeds all have a win already after game week 2, and from what the commentators were saying, it took until October last year for, I think, at least one of the promoted teams to actually have a win last season. So yeah, there's a lot of different feelings, isn't there, so far, going into this campaign to the previous 2, especially at that lower end of the table. So yeah, please comment below what you think about West Ham this season, what you fancy the chances of staying up, what needs to happen for them to stay up other than splashing the cash. Do they need a new manager? I think that's probably a little bit unfair. I think there's only so much a manager can do when they come into the club. Yes, Potter probably has similar principles to Lopetegui. It's going to be that on the floor football, don't really do too many long balls type of style. Would, let's say, a David Moyes type or even a Sean Dyche, would that be beneficial to West Ham given the situation they're in, just to have a more pragmatic approach? I personally think it's a bit unfair. I think with the current squad, you might need a Dyche to come in, to be honest with you, because I don't think the squad that Potter wants to do will help them. So I think if you get after the transfer window here, you've not made any more signings, honestly, I think your only realistic chance of staying up would be to bring in like a Sean Dyche, as mad as that sounds. I could be completely wrong, but that's I think you need to go hard or go home with the managers if that's going to be the case. Although if you do bring in the players, and I think Potter should be okay, providing that he does get the players that will fit the bill and follow his principles of play. But yeah, let me know. Please like, comment and subscribe, and yeah, we'll look forward to seeing you next one, which is probably going to be very similar. It's going to be how the newly promoted teams can stay up to, so look out for that video, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.